Good afternoon, Southern Maryland, and I'm aspiring meteorologist John Bordash with you right now to give you an updated look at your forecast. And what you're looking at right now is the radar and satellite combined, and put together you do see this little bit of a swirl with some snow shown by the radar that is making its way through Ohio and Indiana and Kentucky. That's going to move to the north of our area, and we're right down here in Southern Maryland. And as this does so, I don't think that our snow chances will be looking too great for the night tonight into early tomorrow morning, but this will be producing some accumulating snow in portions of Pennsylvania, New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Massachusetts. And as it does so, it's going to move on up towards the north, and it's going to bring in some cooler air as we head on over into the first half of our weekend. I think high temperatures tomorrow stay in the 30s. A select few may try to make it up towards 40, but I think we stay below average for the day tomorrow. Now, what exactly is a clipper? Well, I mean a graphic to show that. So normally when we see clippers, they usually come out of Alberta, Canada. And when they do so, they make a track similar to what this is going to show. So this one shows it going just to the south of our area. Now when they do that, what that does is it gives us the highest snow potential. And to see the snow potential be there, we need to see the clippers go either right on top of us or just to the north. But when they go right on top of us, we have to introduce the idea of maybe some rain showers or maybe even some mixed precipitation showers. But definitely towards the north, that's where you have the highest snow potential. Down towards the south, we don't have enough moisture in it. It doesn't look all that conducive for snow. But what's going to happen with this one is that it's doing the exact same thing, but it's going to the north of our area, on up through central portions of Ohio, going right up through Pennsylvania, and that's why they're going to see the accumulating snow. But with this, they also form cold fronts, and as they do so, that brings in some cold air behind it, as you would imagine, and sometimes it can bring in cold air for days at a time. Now what we're going to see happen as we move forward into the forecast is that we're going to see a cold front move through the area, and as that does happen, we may need to be talking about the possibility of the polar vortex returning. We'll get to that in just a second. But with tonight's snow event, again, this does not look to be anything too major. I think at most we'll see just a few flakes, and again, that's at most. I think what is likely going to happen is an event where we only see right around 1 to 2 inches back towards western portions of Maryland. I think we may see at most 1 to 2 inches, again, back towards western Maryland. Less than 1 inch, though, from D.C., Baltimore, Warrenton, back towards the north and west, on up towards Frederick and Hagerstown. Again, us just a few flakes, if at anything. So this will not be our type of storm. But if you remember back towards last year, right around this time, we saw one of those clipper systems go down to the south of our region, and we saw some pretty nice snow totals of right around 3 to 5 inches, pretty much area-wide. And the key with this clipper, though, will be the further north you head, the higher your snow potential, but the mountains will try to cut off some of that moisture, and therefore it will weaken it. But now, we also have to talk about the potential for that polar vortex from a couple weeks ago to come back. So if you remember the first half of January, I want to say it was about 1 or 2 weeks ago, we saw the polar vortex look something like this. So we saw that bitter cold right there in that pink zone. That's where we saw the deadliest portion of the cold. Not in that purple area, the maybe dark blue. That's where we did see some cold, but it definitely was not as bitter cold. We saw wind chill values of near -70 in portions of Wisconsin, then that just lightest shade of blue. That's where we did see some cold. Here we saw those wind chill values get sub-zero, but they didn't get all that cold here in southern Maryland. We briefly got down to right around -8, and that is cold for our area, but it wasn't as cold as it could be. And again, this was right after we saw that early January snow, and we saw right around 2 to 5 and in some areas 6 inches of snow. But what's going to be happening this time? So this moved on up towards the north, and we were allowed to warm up for the middle part of the month. But it looks like as we head into next week, we're going to look at the polar vortex now situated itself over southeastern portions of Canada and near Lake Erie and Lake Ontario. And what that's going to allow to happen is to see even colder conditions than what we saw before. So I think we will be looking at wind chill values that may try to get down into the -10 range, right? So anywhere between 10 and 19 degrees below zero. It's too early to say exactly how cold, but it definitely will be cold. I think that this may also try to introduce a chance for snow, but I don't think with this pattern we'll see the big one like we did back in 2010. I think we could, though, see some moderate to maybe even some significant events of 3 to maybe 8 inches of snow, but I don't think we'll see more than a foot or more than 2 feet of snow. This just doesn't look to be the winter to see a gigantic snowstorm, but that's not to say we won't be seeing moderate events over the next couple of weeks. I think as we head through next week, going on into the last week of January and the early part of February, we're going to keep this pattern with the cold air, maybe not as bone chilling, but again, we will keep the cold air. And we're going to keep those snow chances around to really allow for winter to kick back up, and then it looks like we will thaw as we head into late portions of February. So as we head through the forecast, just know we're going to be looking at extreme cold coming back to the region with increasing snow chances, and almost every day between now and right around Wednesday has a chance of snow, but right now with these clipper systems moving through, we're just going to be looking at very minimal snow chances, nothing all that substantial. But again, the long term does say we could be looking at some moderate to significant events, and Alex and I are going to be tracking them right here from JB Weather. We're going to have your latest updated forecast later tonight, but until then, have a nice and safe one, and keep a weather eye to the sky.